everyone. It's so nice to see all of you. My name is Cornelia Ekvall, and I'm a space reporter at Warp News. And I want to begin my talk by asking you a question that I want you all to think about for a couple of seconds. Do you think that we should fix Earth before we go to space? We actually asked 500 people this beforehand for you to be able to compare your own opinion with a more general one. And this is what people believed. So actually 61% agreed to this, that we should fix Earth before we go to space. I think that they answered based on the fact that many people view the space industry as a very expensive one, where we waste our resources on something that do not really help us in our everyday life and help us to make Earth more sustainable. But I'm actually not, ready to agree with this 61%, and I hope that you are not as well. So hang on there for a little while, and I want to give you some facts. So we gain actually so many things from the space industry. Like, for instance, we gain technical competence and scientific knowledge by educating experts in their fields to be able to do something as impossible as the moon landing was in 1969, or something that we dream of now, which is going to Mars, for instance. We also gain safety and security by developing computers that can handle more data, by developing AI and satellites that can do surveillance at a much higher speed and much better. We gain an understanding of our health by closely studying in how our body reacts in, for instance, extreme environments, but also by looking at our mental health. If we go into space with just 2 people, how does that affect us? This gives very interesting insights into how our mind works that we can use on Earth as well. We also gain an environmental awareness, which I will talk a bit more about in a couple of minutes. And also we gain a perspective of human life and Earth's place in the universe. And to give you another perspective of these 2 last points, I want to show you pictures that truly change the way that our society view our home. I think you've all seen this picture. It's the Earthrise picture from 1968. So it's 1 year before we went to the moon. And by going to the moon and taking this picture, or this was actually from behind the moon, but by doing this, we kind of shifted the perspective that we had on our home by showing that Earth is not this rigid place that will always be there. It's actually something that is, quite fragile, and a place that we need to be kind to, and a place that we need to create a sustainable life on. So this picture truly showed society that we need to change our lives to be able to create a sustainable life and to be able to care of this planet for a long time. But what the moon landing also did for humanity was to inspire us to dream to go to other places in the solar system and in the universe. And I want to show you what the statistics say, because the inspiration can truly be seen in society and how it affects us. This graph shows that the moon or the Apollo program actually inspired people to pursue STEM-related careers. This is from the States, but I believe that this could also be seen in more countries all over the world. So as well as the moon landing gave us a new perspective, it also showed us that we need to dream bigger and we need to learn more about our place in the universe. And this is something that you can do, for instance, for education. But what it also did was it gave us technical benefits. Because by going to space, we are in an extreme environment where we need to solve difficult problems with innovative solutions. And I want to give you 3 examples of things that I believe that that are very useful and that you use in your everyday life. For instance, I think all of you have a phone. So the phone camera was actually developed because we needed a compact camera that could be brought to space to photograph and, memorize all that we see. Because when they went to the moon, they brought this Swedish, quite large cameras called Hasselblad. And they had to throw away the cameras when they went back to the Earth because they were too heavy. So they just brought the actual pictures. So that's a solution to this, to create technology that is smaller, compact, but also works better. Another thing is water purification systems, because this can truly help us in our everyday life by, clean water, which is way more sustainable, and it's also something that we need to improve. And also, I wanted to tell you about red LEDs, because they were made to actually grow plants in space. But today we use them in medical devices that could be used in, for instance, cancer treatment. And they're also used in a medical device called the Warp 10. But one innovation that has truly made our life on Earth more sustainable and has given us new insights is satellites. And these can help us understand systems and patterns that otherwise would be hidden for us if we limited ourselves to the surface. And to just give you a quite simple example, is like, imagine that you want to limit traffic in a city and you want to make it more safe for pedestrians. Well, then you can use satellites to actually look at the whole city at the same time and use your time to analyze how to, in efficient way, solve this problem instead of spending your time actually looking at all the crossroads each at one time, which takes a lot of time. So with the help of satellites, we can actually look at changes. Here you have an example from Airbus, where they study an airport together with a change algorithm, which made it possible which can make it possible for, to make air traffic, for instance, more efficient. But you can look at any changes, like traffic or anything else. And we can also study environments. So with the help of the Landsat satellites, for instance, that are NASA satellites, we can get these surreal pictures of Earth, which also gives us insights into how different systems work together, why and how the ice caps melts, or why animals move in certain ways. These actual pictures are from the Lena River Delta in Russia. And it shows this river delta that just stretches out into the environment. And it just looks very beautiful, but also gives us very important insights. And by doing these really close studies of the environment, we can actually help ecosystems, which is very important for us to make our lives more sustainable. For instance, here's an example from the Alan Coren Atlas project, where they study coral reefs in almost real time, and we can track their health and how they develop, and hopefully in the future we will be able to protect them and make them, live and thrive, which is incredibly important. And I encourage you to go and look at this webpage, because it's just amazing to look at their interactive maps. But what is also amazing is that we can use satellite imagery to actually predict outbreaks of diseases. For instance, mosquito-borne diseases can be predicted by looking at how the weather changes over time. In 2017, a cholera outbreak in Yemen could be predicted to a 92% certainty by using satellite imagery. And this is just amazing, because that means that we could actually save lives using satellites in the future. But I think you're wondering now, how can I use this edge? So how can I use satellites, for instance, in my everyday life to make it more efficient and, better? I want to give you a few examples. For instance, if you're a farmer, you can actually use satellite imagery to predict farm yield. Or if you work for the government, you can predict shipping across the whole globe. Or if you're a business, you can actually buy satellite data that can help you, develop your business in a good way. For instance, by observing changes, as I talked about, monitor construction sites, or estimate traffic. But the list is endless of what we actually can do with satellite data. And satellites are only one way that we can use space to make Earth more sustainable. So I hope you feel now that it's clear that we do need space to fix Earth, and that we don't really need to choose space or Earth. We can actually develop them both, and by making inventions in space, we can actually fix Earth and the problems we have here to be able to make our lives, more sustainable. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the talks today.